What's up, YouTube? How's it going out there? I got a great show for you today. I got John Rich, country music star, country music legend, coming on today to talk about the satanic agenda accelerating. Folks, they're using every tactic, every method they can to pull on your heartstrings, to sow division. That halftime show was nothing more than to polarize and divide people further. They know what they're doing, reverse psychology. They know exactly what they're doing. Yeah, we all celebrate. This country's made of immigrants, no doubt about it, but they're missing the part. Come here legally. That's the whole thing. Trump's not after every Latino and Hispanic out there. He's going after all of them. No, it's just about being legal. That's how easy it is. And what they're doing is they're playing with your emotions. Do you see this halftime show? You see what they're doing? They're after us. You hear that, Lupita? You hear that, Lupita? Folks, it's in your face. It's in your face. And the bad hate, love over hate. Love over hate. That's what they put out there on the Super Bowl. Love over hate. Because they're making it look like ICE is full of hatred. They're the bad guy. That's all they're doing. That's all they're doing. And it works on a lot of people. The nurses that were watching the show at my parents' house, I watched the Super Bowl. I had to watch the Super Bowl halftime show because I have material for the show today. But the nurses that were at the house are like, "Oh, this is Bad Bunny's the best. He's the best." I'm like, "You guys don't see what they're doing here?" And I had to explain it to them. And then they were like, "Oh, yeah, well, I guess. Well, yeah, I never thought of it that way." I was like, "You see what they're doing here? See how they're playing sides against each other?" Oh, folks, hit the notification button. Hit the notification button. Like, share, and subscribe this video. Help me help you. I'll be bringing John Rich on in just a few moments. And, folks, if you appreciate what I do, Venmo, 𝗵𝗻𝗀1977, 𝗵𝗻𝗀1977. And then when the lights go out on Amazon, my book, When the Lights Go Out, is when I used to be a degenerate, but it made me who I am today. And then my mama's book, The Mexican Mix. Please leave her an honest review as well. And, folks, don't forget to get your noble gold. Something's brewing. You can feel it. The problem, you never know the full story until after. After the crash, after the collapse, after it's too late. And here's the brutal truth. You can't protect yourself after. You have to be ready now. All this uncertainty, the chaos, the warning signs, maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just noise. But maybe it's the beginning of something bigger. Nobody knows for sure, but waiting to find out, that's how people get hurt. Physical gold and silver aren't just investments, they're preparation. They're the foundation of real protection. My friends at Noble Gold Investments have been helping Americans protect themselves for nearly a decade. No pressure, no games. Just proven insight when it matters most. Look, you'll either be prepared or you won't. Which one will you be when everything changes overnight? Visit noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com. Get started on it today, folks. I set my ghetto timer. I think I'm getting better at these ads. I'm getting that radio voice or so. I don't know. What have I turned into? I used to be a fighter. I used to be a boxer. I used to be a world contender, champion contender. And now I'm doing YouTube. Yeah, all right. So, folks, Nino'sCorner.tv. I got Ringside with Nino Wednesday the 11th. Wednesday the 11th, this Wednesday, 5 p.m., Ringside with Nino. It'll be off the 𝗀𝗃. It's going to be good. We'll be wargaming together. It's a network. I upgraded my Zoom, so yes, I can fit more people in there. So you won't be disappointed. You all have a chance to ask your questions, and we'll round robin it. So Ringside with Nino on Nino'sCorner.tv. It's only $11.99 a month. Nino'sCorner.tv. I have 𝗏𝗏. I put the one that YouTube pulled for community guidelines. So I put that up on Nino'sCorner.tv. Kathy O'Brien is up right now. Kathy O'Brien talking about hunting parties. She experienced the hunting parties with the Bush family and the Clintons. Yeah, let that soak in. Folks, there's no excuse anymore. The Epstein files have dropped. It's not conspiracy anymore. It's not conspiracy anymore. We all know what's happening, what they do to little babies. It's all out there. I saw a guy at the airport. There's a video of a guy in the airport, and I didn't tell Alex about this. I should have, so he could have pulled it up. But there was a guy at an airport screaming, saying, "Don't you see what they're doing to babies?" And going into it, going full into it. And he looked crazy. He looked like he was nuts, and everyone's standing around him just staring like a deer in headlights, looking at this guy lose his shit over what he saw in the Epstein files about what they do to babies. But guess what, folks? He's the one having the normal response. That's normal. That's what we should all be doing. We should all be out on the streets. But no. You want to protest ICE. You want to protest ICE getting people out of the country who are here illegally, that are predators, that do these type of things. You want to protest them. I also have the ghost going up. Melissa Red Pill, Stuart Swerdlow's back, folks, with some more briefings or debriefings. He's going to be, I'll be showing that video on YouTube, and the censored part that I don't feel comfortable putting on YouTube will be on 𝗍𝗏𝐶𝗀𝗏 tomorrow. So tomorrow, YouTube and 𝗍𝗏𝐶𝗏𝗏, Stuart Swerdlow is going to be big, his debriefing, and you might want to turn it down or turn it up, baby. Yeah, here we go. Let's see if John Rich likes my voice. I doubt it. I don't think I have much of a voice. You should hear me in the shower. It's terrible. Coming at you live from the apocalypse. Wow. Yep. All right, folks, let's get into this. And yes, I did say this on my X. I did say this. I said, you know, I am going to get John Rich's thoughts on this, you know, in a moment, because I feel it's like I'm not into the culty stuff. So telling me you watch TPUSA Super Bowl halftime show over the Bad Bunny halftime show is like telling me you traded heroin for meth. Okay, that's how I look at it. I just see this as a hijacked operation, but that's as far as I don't know how John Rich feels about it. That's my opinion. That's my point of view. So it's like, to me now, you're following either two cults at this point, the liberal left or the hijacked TPUSA cult, two wings of the same bird. That's how I see it. Maybe John Rich does not see it that way. But one thing you need to have for sure is spiritual discernment. Spiritual discernment. It's not left and it's not right. I feel like this is the next coming PSYOP or purge after what happened in 2020. And I think we're well into it right now. The first level of low-hanging fruit. Now here comes the next. Folks, this is a spiritual war. This is spiritual warfare. And the globalist satanic warfare is accelerating like we've never seen. And you heard 𝗏𝗏𝗶𝗹 talking about that on my show, talking about the Super Bowl is basically the kickoff. The Winter Olympics, the kickoff. It's all happening now. You cannot get any more real with this, with the satanic symbology that we saw in the winter ceremony, the opening ceremony, and then the halftime show. You know, I have a question about those power lines, by the way, and I'm going to get into that. So they're showing you and your families their plans wide out in the open with the Milan Winter Olympics and the Super Bowl halftime show with Bad Bunny. Folks, this is spiritual warfare in full throttle. So obviously the halftime show was to rally the bravado of the immigrants and make the job for ICE for deportation so much harder. Right now they're going to be villainized. That's what they did. They villainized them, and they made it look like they're the bad guys. They're doing all the bad stuff when really we've let in millions of these unvetted, illegal immigrants that are child predators, murderers. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Cartel, the whole thing. But nah, choose love over hate. That's what they wanted you to believe. Rally the Latino Hispanic left to feel proud when they get out and protest this coming spring, summer, and fall, because it's coming. Spring, summer, and fall is going to be one for the books. And by the way, why is Bad Bunny dancing on top of power lines like a lineman? Because the electrical grid, what are they showing you here? Is the electrical grid going to go down? Now, this was brought to me by a follower and a viewer, Kevin, and I told him I would put this out there. Do you know that more children, why didn't they do a show on the children? more children are trafficked during the Super Bowl Sunday, than any other day of the year. Why don't you do a halftime show on that? Why don't you protest about that? How? Open borders. Open borders is how they're trafficked. The agenda is a race of battling timelines for the Agenda 2030, and I have Steve Hanks coming on Thursday to talk about Agenda 2030 and what he believes is going to happen. So to me, it's time. It's a full acceleration happening right now. When you start to understand what is at stake and why the Trump operation upset the apple cart and at the very least bought humanity and especially America some time, it all makes sense. This would have been game, set, match under Hillary Clinton and Kamala. My personal, honest opinion is that Trump bought us some time in this spiritual war, and that's really how I look at it. I do not think there's any stopping this agenda. We are in full-scale war with evil, but I do believe it has been slowed down, and maybe we've been given a little bit of grace for the time being, for a while. Evil will stop at nothing, but good won't either, folks. We will not stop, will we? This is why it's smart to prepare spiritually, because anything can happen at any time. Evil is showing itself to the masses with complete and utter arrogance. Country star John Rich, let's bring him on. John, what's your thoughts on my opening monologue there?
Well, to understand the arrogance, you just said a very key word, arrogance, at the end of your monologue. To understand the arrogance of the people that follow the devil, you need to understand the arrogance of the devil himself. And so Lucifer, the dragon, the devil, he's referred to as many things in the Bible, was the most arrogant and is the most arrogant creature that God ever created.
Narcissist. Like,
yeah. I mean, he
into
was,
his own beauty, just full of himself.
yeah, he was so narcissistic and arrogant that he took on God himself. Back when in Genesis, when it talks about there was a great war in heaven, and that Lucifer convinced a third of the angels to follow him, and led a rebellion against God himself, who created the devil, by the way, created Lucifer, led a rebellion against his own creator, against his own father at that time.
Is that why the number 33 is so important?
Possibly, because it was a third of the angels. Maybe, right. Maybe, I don't know. But what I like to deal in is what I can actually see and qualify with my own two eyes. If I see it, there it is. Okay, now I've got something I don't have to hypothesize that much about it. I just see it, and there it is. So they follow instructions well. I mean, I really believe that the wicked people of this earth, they believe they're going to win in the end. They 100% believe that. They know there'll be a fight, and they'll have to really, struggle or whatever and try to fight, but they're not afraid of it taking a very, very long time. They've spent centuries leading up to this point.
They believe that God is actually the captive, or he's captured humans into this matrix, and they're trying to break out of it. That's why me personally, John, I believe there's a firmament. I think there's a firmament. I don't know how far. I'm sure space is infinite, the whole thing, but I think there's something, right? And I feel like they've been trying so hard to get through that dome, and that's just my opinion. That's just my belief. After everything I've researched on YouTube. But it's
got to be true if it's on YouTube.
It's got to be true. But I mean, it just seems like their arrogance. They really do believe that they're going to war with God and they will win this. That's what they really do believe. I've been watching a lot of things on YouTube discussing this, so that's why I look into this. I'm also looking at this every day, researching this stuff, and that's really the arrogance behind their belief.
Well, there's historical precedence, though, behind that thought. When you go back to the initial war, the war in heaven, that's the first one. And then the second one was in the days of Noah. So in the days of Noah, Lucifer wanted to make sure that Jesus Christ would never be born. Because if he could keep Jesus from being born, he would never have to deal with being defeated. So what did he do? he polluted the entire earth with, go read Genesis 6. It said there were giants in the land, that the sons of light, meaning Lucifer, came and saw the daughters of men and found them to be beautiful and took them as wives and bore sons with them. And those were the men of renown, and there were giants in the land. So his move on that was try to pollute the human DNA in the race so Jesus would never be born. But he forgot about Noah. He never got to Noah. So God was able to start it back over. And then the devil thought he won when he had Jesus crucified. If we can crucify the Son of God and kill him, we'll win. Well, that didn't work out because Jesus was raised from the dead 3 days later and came back, and that was the ultimate defeat. And I believe they think they have one last shot at this in the end times to try to now keep Jesus from coming back. If there's nothing for him to come back for, no one left for him to come back for, he won't come back, and they don't lose, they get to win. And so I think what you see now is the army of wickedness, the devil's people, trying to drag humanity into a position where there's nobody righteous left on the face of the earth, nobody for God to come back for. So you can say it as a flat statement, like it's spiritual warfare and we're going at, yeah, but this has been going on for eons. This is not a new story.
Yeah, but if you look back, like, let's just, and people who have really paid attention, like the 70s, 80s, 90s, some of us older dogs remember those times, early 2000s, it's like it wasn't out there. It was kind of hidden. It was kind of in the background of everything. People with spiritual discernment could see it, but now, like, if you just look at some of the pictures from the Milan Winter Olympics, there you go. That's hell itself. I mean, or what's happening in the Super Bowl with Bad Bunny, the whole trans thing, everything that's happening right now. I mean, they're going all in, and you've got to be blind not to see this now. I mean, it's out in the open. They're showing you their cards.
So that's a two-sided thing there. You're exactly correct. You'd have to be blind to not see it. So everybody's seeing it. And so it's not a fairy tale anymore. It's real. This is this Olympics, but if you recall, the Olympics prior to this one is when they mocked the Lord's Supper and had a bunch of guys, wearing women's clothes with little kids sitting in their laps.
And then they make an apology after. Oops, we're sorry, our bad. They do that every time. They make an apology after the backlash.
So it's a two-sided thing. When it becomes that obvious, it then puts the onus on every human being out there to make a decision. Where are you going to go? You going to follow that, or are you going to push back and go the opposite direction? There is no middle ground with this anymore. And so to that effect, I actually think it's a good thing. I'd rather the devil be on display where everybody can see him clearly than in the shadows where it's much easier to trick people. You can't really trick them now. I mean, everybody's seeing it.
Right, and especially now with the everyone's picking their lane, with Bad Bunny and the Epstein files coming out. Some people are just completely losing their shit. Like I'm watching videos of people losing it in airports, people making videos, but still it's almost like analysis paralysis. People are just like, they can't believe what they're seeing here. The floodgates have opened. Alex Jones has come out and said that more to come. There's going to be 3 million more files to come to get dropped. Patrick Byrne spoke on this, and they're going to be worse. And there's detailed descriptions in these files now about what they do to babies. But back to what I was saying about people picking their lane. You have people like Gavin Newsom, the CEO of the NFL, coming out praising Bad Bunny. People are picking their lane. Gavin Newsom says taunts MAGA loyalists, Kid Rock over being booed or banned in Golden State. With all the threats, ICE agents at the Super Bowl and all the threats to the ICE agents on Super Bowl Sunday, and Donald Trump and his MAGA minions vowing to change the channel when Bad Bunny hits a halftime stage in Santa Clara for the all Spanish language performance, Gavin Newsom on Saturday gave praise to Bad Bunny. So it's almost like they're setting us up for this division, polarization, civil war. It's almost like they're making the bed for that. Do you see that? Do you see that happening? Like, people are picking their lanes. Like Gavin Newsom, he's picked his lane. He's on that side. Obama comes out rallying the left. I mean, it's like they're really digging their heels in. Like, they feel they're going to win.
Yeah, well, the Bible talks about a time for choosing, meaning there is no more fence to ride. It is wickedness or it is righteousness, and that is it. There is no middle ground. I think even a lot of Christians in America throughout the past decades have been fence riders. Not that they're wicked in nature, but that it was muted enough where they could just kind of turn a blind eye to it, go, I'm just going to act like I didn't see that or hear that. But now it's so in your face, you have to respond to it. You have to make a statement. It is a time for choosing. And to that effect, Nino, that's a good place to be. That is a good place to be. It's better than all this stuff going on so far deep in the shadows that you never see it and you just walk right past it and never recognize it. It's so disturbing, the Epstein files that have come out recently about the kids and the babies and all of that. It is so disturbing. And honestly, it is beyond the grasp of the regular everyday human being to even wrap their mind around that and be able to digest what it is they just looked at. It is such a shocking thing that I really believe most people just want to go, I'm going to pretend like I did not read that or hear that because I can't grapple with it. It's not just disturbing to your flesh, it's disturbing to your soul and your spirit. It is disturbing. It is infuriating, but even more so, deeply, deeply disturbing. And I think that until we see these people in tribunals, in courtrooms, actually paying the price for what they've done, and it's done in a way that is in the system of law. When regular everyday Americans see the system of law play out, and the people in those emails and the people that did these things to kids are actually in a courtroom, actually put on trial, and then actually given justice, I don't think they're ever going to fully believe it. That's right. Where I think they're at. I think they're stunned and in a moment of shock. It's like somebody that's in a car wreck.
Right.
Let's talk about soldiers. Okay, I know a lot of soldiers, and so do you. I know a lot of wounded soldiers, and they'll tell you, I looked down and my arm was blown off, and I just looked at it and got up and started walking back towards the truck. Even though my arm is blown off, I can see my arm laying in the road and blood is flying out of what's left of my arm. They're in total shock because they can't digest what it is that just happened. It's only until they go into.
Or you say that we're going to have this kind of like delayed reaction. You think people are going to kind of take this in, digest it, and then they'll be out on the streets pissed off? Do you think that's what's going to happen here?
I think that is what's going to happen, and I think that's why they've put this information out little by little by little by little. They're allowing people to digest it and try to get a grip on it, and then here comes the next wave. Wow, there's another level of this, and then they got to get their head wrapped around that, and then here's a third wave. Honestly, man, I think if you hit the American public with every single thing that's out there all at once, I just think they would just turn off.
I agree.
They would just go to default mode and just go, I'm off. I'm turning my brain off. I can't deal with this.
So Trump, and what I believe the Trump operation, and everyone knows what I believe here because I watched, I'm paying close attention to this. I believe, just like we've said, that these would be dropped, and we were laughed at, and so many people said, it's not coming out. You know, I made the video. What put me on the map on my podcast was the 2020 video I did talking about this stuff. I said this is what they do to children, and I point blank put it out there, got millions upon millions of views, and that's what kind of put me out here into the podcast circuit, and it just grew organically. My very first video, and now here it is. It's all out there. Everyone's now just taking bites out of it, divulging into it, looking into it, and they're seeing what this has, and they're sitting there like, you know, analysis paralysis. Like, what do we do? What do we do now that we got all this?
Well, think about the people who are guilty of these things. They are Democrats.
I saw them in Super Bowl commercials.
And they are also Republicans. And there are preachers, and there are all kinds of people, heads of companies, all kinds of people that are guilty of the things that we're now learning about, and more things to come that we're going to learn about. And so how do you avoid an actual civil war in this country? Let's say you didn't condition everybody's mind to little by little by little come to grips with what's actually been going on. If you didn't do that, and you just hit everybody with the tidal wave right out of the gate, and then started arresting those people, arresting governors and senators and congressmen and women, and heads of companies and preachers and whoever, all the people that are involved, that is when you would probably have a really good chance at a civil war, because nobody would be able to understand it. They would blow it off and say, it's probably AI, it's probably not real, it's probably politically motivated, whatever they would say. And they would blow past the fact that, no, it's actually real, and these people should be in handcuffs and being hauled off to courtrooms. So I think to avoid as much destruction as possible, it is very wise to little by little get everybody up to speed with what's actually been going on.
So let it marinate. Let people really dig into this stuff themselves, research it, and that's what they're doing. So that's why they're letting it go in waves.
I don't think human being, listen, Nino, you and I, any human being you can name, and you and I would actually be more likely to be able to absorb it more than most people. But even you and me, you were so taken aback by like what I just read in those Epstein drops, even though you had heard things like that had happened, to really read it and see how they verbalize that and how nonchalantly they talk about things that are the most diabolical, devilish things in the world, is still shocking to me. It should be shocking to me and you, Nino. It should never not be shocking. If it's ever not shocking to you, the stuff like that, then you've got a real problem. So 100%. It's always going to be shocking to you and I. Think about the general public, though, working 40, 50 hours a week, raising their kids, running 100 miles an hour, all the noise in the world. They're like, I don't have time to have to sit down and figure this out. So I think that's the vast majority of the country, and that's why I believe the strategy behind this is, yes, let's put it out in doses, where bite-sized chunks, where people can get their heads around it, digest it, and then when we're convinced that they all understand it, here's the next wave.
And people need to understand this is an operation. That's why it's happening this way. This has been thought out and strategized. That's why it's not just by accident. Oh, let's do it this way. This has been thought out for a long time. And this is also the way this is happening with ICE and everything that's unfolding right now. But they're still doing their dirty works. And I'm going to get into this right now. Feds are rattled by rise of sinister I'm sure you've seen this, the 764 global internet sextortion cult that targets minors and loves torture. So this has been all over the internet. Now this has been kicked off into high gear. There's musical entertainers, singers that sing about this 764 thing. The rise of nihilistic terror cult known as 764 that blackmails minors into sex acts, self-harm, and animal torture has been unnerving, federal law enforcement officials have said. Just in the last year, for example, the feds in D.C. charged sickos Leonidas War Baragas and 𝗵𝗵𝗃 for allegedly coercing girls to cut themselves, perform gross sex acts, and engage in horrifying behavior. The sick group convinced young girls to perform heinous acts for the group's perverse entertainment, self-mutilation, online sexual acts, self-mutilation, and the list goes on and on and on. And this is in chat rooms all over the internet. I mean, if you're not watching your kids, they're going after the kids. That's the big prize here, is really because the kids are of God. They're the innocence of God. The purity of God. They are the future of humanity, of our species, and that is why they're such a prize, right, to these Satanists.
Yeah, I mean, Satanists love to hurt kids. They love that because that brings the most pain to God. That's what makes him cry the most, is that. And so they really zero in on kids, on innocent people. You are correct that the parents in the United States are so disconnected to their kids. They sit there and watch the news or make dinner. Meanwhile, their son or daughter is sitting on the couch with their iPad or their phone, and they have no idea what they're looking at. They haven't even thought about it. They don't go into those phones and set them up in certain ways and talk to their kids like adults and say, hey, let me tell you who's on the other side of this phone, and here's how we're not going to let them in. They don't take those steps. The vast majority don't, and the bad guys know that, and so they use that to their advantage. And this is when it comes down to moms and dads being that shield, especially dads. Now, if you're a single mom, then it's going to fall to you. But if you're in that house and you have kids, you are the shield, my own two sons, this is not just something I talk about. I mean, I'll tell you what I did. I sat both of my sons down, got their phones out, and I said, okay, let's go through all your settings on your phone. Let's look at every single app that's out there. And you're not allowed to have any apps, by the way, unless I approve the app. And so we don't let them have it. They're not on social media, and they're teenagers. They don't have any of that stuff. And they understand it, Nino. You can speak to your kids at an adult level when it comes to that. They'll
just get them a flip phone.
Yeah, well,
you know, your flip phone. Do they even make those anymore?
They do, but here's the issue. I had the same thought. Both of my sons play baseball. And so the way they communicate now, like the coach of the baseball team, they have like a group me chat or some kind of big chat that's the whole team and the coaches. Hey, practice is moved to this other field, or hey, the game is delayed by 2 hours. Everybody gets the same message. So, you know, it's the era we live in that they have to be able to communicate on certain levels. But that doesn't mean that they have to be standing wide open to predators and people that want to do the things like you were just talking about. It infuriates me to such a degree, but all I can really do, Nino, is protect my kids. I can't protect your kids, can't protect the neighbor's kids, only mine. Now I can do a podcast like this, do a live stream like this and talk about it, and hopefully that sparks people to want to go pick up their kid's phone and start going through it and listen. There's actually on YouTube, if you type in 𝗀𝗷𝗔 DHS, just type that in at some point when you're not watching Nino's show, 𝗀𝗷𝗔 DHS. There's a 90-minute tutorial with me and a DHS agent going play by play by play on what a parent needs to do to keep their kids safe.
Oh, wow.
Online. Yeah, 90 minutes long.
𝗀𝗷𝗔 DHS?
Just look, 𝗀𝗷𝗔 DHS on YouTube. 90 minutes.
Wow, there you go, folks. There it is right there. Let's get into some more Super Bowl stuff, because I believe the symbology in that was just so, like, it was just in your face, glaring in your face. We know what they're trying to do. They're trying to cause the division, stir up the pot. But did you see and I was trying to check if this was AI or not. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. I couldn't tell. Maybe my audience can put it in the chat, but Patriots wide receiver Mac Hollins going through another humiliation ritual before the Super Bowl. Did you see this guy walking into the Super Bowl barefoot and in handcuffs? What was that real? I wanted to bring it up here because I didn't know what the hell I was looking at. But I mean, this guy's walking through. There he is. Yeah, there he is. Is this real? Am I really looking at this right now? Who is this guy? I know he's a wide receiver, but did he really enter the stadium like this?
It looks real, but I mean if it is real, what does that mean? He's a slave to the team? He's a slave to the NFL? I don't know what that means. But I mean,
was this his choice to do this? Or I mean, I'm trying to figure this out.
I don't know, man. I mean, when I grew up watching football, nobody was walking in like that. And they'll walk in wearing dresses, carrying purses.
Suits, yeah. But remember back in the day, suits, they dressed up to the.
Oh, yeah.
What is this?
It's, again, as much as I hate seeing all this stuff happen, I'm actually grateful that we're seeing it in such a stark way, because you can't unsee it. It's going to force people to decide one way or the other. There is no more fence. I think the fence riders that sat on that fence for a long time, I think God destroyed the fence. You have to remember this too, Nino. Everything is an act of God. Everything. Good and bad. Everything. When Trump got shot, it was an act of God that situation happened. It was also an act of God that Trump turned his head at the last second and the bullet didn't hit him right in the head. They're both acts of God. You have to look at all these things that are happening and go, this is God turning the screws. You got to think on the other side, on the wicked side, they must be in total panic mode, because they are throwing everything they have as hard as they can, trying to do as much damage as they possibly can, probably because they know the clock is ticking down, tick, tick, tick. It's ticking down on them, and they're doing everything they can. This is their Hail Mary moment of an era right now to try to tear civilization down before the boss comes back and destroys them. That's what I think. They look like they're in panic mode.
I agree with you. And folks, get your weight loss going, folks. Give me a second, John, real quick. We've all seen the headlines about these miracle weight loss shots, but the 2026 data is officially in, and it's a wake-up call. A major analysis revealed that once people stop the injections, they regain an average of 60% of their weight back within a year. Even worse, most of the weight gain is pure fat, but the muscle they lost stays gone forever, leaving them with a crash metabolism and a body that's functionally older than when they started. That's why I'm obsessed with today's sponsor, GLP-1 𝗷𝗶𝗋. Instead of using needles to override my system, it uses clinically studied plant-based ingredients like 𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗋 to help my body naturally boost its own hunger control signals. I get the same fullness and fewer cravings, but without the scary side effects or the metabolic rebound. It supports my goals while protecting my muscle so I can actually keep the results for good. To celebrate Valentine's Day, I've never celebrated Valentine's Day, get 50% off GLP-1 Elevate at Trim with Nino, baby. It's down there below. Get on it for Valentine's Day. Give it to your give it to your partner on Valentine's Day. You'll probably get slapped in the face. But anyway, all right, John.
Happy Valentine's Day. Lose some weight.
Here you go, fat ass. All right.
Happy Valentine's Day, Tubby.
So, all right. So, there's a lot of, Wano Saving on my show said, could Jeffrey Epstein be alive? Now, I've had a lot of conversations with people behind, private calls and stuff, and I'm under the firm belief the guy's alive. Nothing adds up. Nothing adds up to me. What's your thoughts on that? I wanted to get your thoughts on that. Like, do you think he could be alive, that he's somewhere in a witness protection program being interrogated, getting all the information? He's a valuable asset. I don't think they just let him self-delete in a jail cell with some cellmate. I just don't see he's that valuable to the operation. I just don't, on both sides. I just don't see how they would just leave him unsupervised and then he's able to off himself. But I can see him being pulled out of there and taken somewhere else to be interrogated. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, your question is, do I think he could still be alive? Yes, I think he could still be alive. Could still be. I would think if you wanted to stop the rumor mill that he didn't kill himself, you would show the footage of him killing himself.
Right.
You would show something that we would go, wow, okay, there it is. But the fact that the cameras went out and the fact that we have no footage and all this other stuff, I mean, it's just impossible. So I'd say that is there a chance he's alive? Sure, there's a chance. I honestly hope he is alive. I hope he's alive. I mean, I hope he is. And I hope he's telling him, if he is alive, he's telling him everything he knows and giving him everything he's got. And maybe that's how we're getting these millions and millions of pages of stuff. I don't know. It's a hypothesis. Again,
I agree. No, I agree. I agree with you on this. I think he is alive, and that's just my opinion on it. But
I hope he is. Not because I think he deserves to be alive, but I hope he's alive so he can. Hopefully, they can. If he is, that they use him to tear down this entire temple of wickedness that he built with them.
I think he is. I'm gonna. If I had, I'd put my money on it. I'd go for it.
You think if he's alive, they'll ever actually tell us he is? If he is alive, do you think we'll ever actually see him do a live interview?
Yep. I think at some point. Yep. At some point. Yeah, I do. I think that's why it was so hard for Dan Bongino and Cash to come out and say, yep. You could just see it in their faces. It was like the moon landing with Neil Armstrong. Yeah, we landed on the moon. That's the way I see it. So what's your thoughts, John, on this Savannah Guthrie kidnapping of her mother? So do you think this is, I feel something's not right here, man. And I'm going to go with my instincts on this whole Savannah Guthrie kidnapping of her mother. I feel like it's a distraction. I don't know what's going on. There's a lot of weird anomalies that are occurring, a lot of federal agents and officials going in and out of the house during the time, and there's just a lot of things that don't add up. Have you been following this at all? Do you know anything about what's your thoughts on this? I'm not sure what to think, but it just doesn't feel right.
Where my mind is at is, what is the impetus for somebody to kidnap an old lady? out of her house. Why? I mean, she's not wealthy. She's not powerful. She's just a regular, seemed like a regular type old lady. I think she's a lefty, but that's okay. That's fine. But you know what I mean? But there's a lot of lefty old ladies out there. But the only thing that makes her different is her daughter's famous. But I mean, still, that doesn't seem like a reason why somebody would risk life and limb to abduct her. So I don't have an answer.
How old is her mom? Do we know?
80-something. She's in her 80s. I mean, I don't. You know, if you abducted Donald Trump, I can see that. If you abducted a senator, a governor, or a billionaire, I can see that happening. A scientist that knows something, that another country wants to know. There's reasons I can see somebody getting abducted, but her, from everything I've learned about her, there's nothing out of the ordinary about her that would warrant somebody wanting to risk their own safety to abduct her. So I don't have an answer for you, man. It is.
I think it's a distraction. I think it's to steal the news cycle. I think they needed something to get out there and take away from the Epstein files, and this is all they could throw at us. What do you think?
I don't know, man. I mean, like listen, I was in Las Vegas on stage 60 minutes before the bullets started flying through the drum risers. Okay, so we never got the real story on that. I mean, we never got the story on that. And I was there. So,
you were there, dude. I forgot about that.
Yeah, 60 minutes before the bullets started flying through the drums and the instruments on stage. Big and Rich, we opened for Jason Aldean that night in Vegas. So there's actually video of me standing in front of 20-something thousand people, and I've got them all holding their iPhones up with the lights turned on and like candles, and they're singing God Bless America. They're all singing it together. And then 60 minutes later, the bullets are flying through the stage. We had gone to my place. I had a redneck Riviera bar at that point in Las Vegas. We had gone there, and they came up to the stage while we're up there singing and said, "Stop singing. There's been a shooting at the concert." I went, "What?" So we stopped what we were doing. We changed the TVs in the bar to local news. And for about 15 minutes, all the local news stations in Vegas were saying there are shooters at the Bellagio, shooters at Caesars, shooters at MGM, shooters. Get away from the windows, get away from this. And so everybody did. And then about 15 minutes of that, boom, it went to national news, and you never heard that story ever again. And so I don't have any faith or trust or belief in anything that federal agencies tell me. Even when they're run by good guys, if they're not, just pretty much bet they're not telling you the whole truth. Now, with the good guys, hopefully they're not telling you the whole truth because it leads to a better ending and they accomplish something at the end. But back in the day when it was run by the bad guys, I mean, yeah, Vegas, man, I was right in the middle of it.
I've heard some crazy stories that friends were there that were calling me during the shootings. They said there was a helicopter flying around mowing down people. Did you hear anything like that? That like an actual helicopter where someone leaned out of it, like shooting people?
I didn't hear a helicopter, but a lot of friends of mine that were at that concert said they heard stuff like that. I went back when I finally got back to Nashville, unpacked my suitcase, my room card. You get the little key for your room. My room card was inside my suitcase. I pulled the room card out and had the room number on it. And I'm watching the news, and now they are telling you where the shooter was, what room he was in at the MGM. That guy's floor was my ceiling. I was sitting below that guy all day long, dude. He was literally right up, 8 inches above me through the ceiling, and I was there all day long.
This was Mandalay, right?
Yeah. Mandalay Bay. Yeah. I was in one of those corner suites because we were performing. So they gave the artists these bigger rooms on the corners, gave us like a really nice room. And so I'm hanging out in there all day getting ready for the show. And that joker was literally right above my head.
Do you think it was him? I mean, or maybe he was the patsy like the Oswald. I mean, what's your thought? I mean, obviously multiple shooters, right?
You can't fire that many rounds from a hotel room. Yeah. I mean, thousands. You know how much smoke would be in your room if you fired even 100 rounds? How much smoke would be in your hotel room? No, I don't believe any of it. Maybe they'll tell us. I mean, I'm friends with Bongino. I'm friends with Cash. I can't imagine what they must have seen and realized when they finally got to look at everything, how enormous and probably deeply rooted and entangled this mess actually is. I can't even imagine it, because what I know of Dan and Cash is they're two of the most hard banging patriots out there.
I have a lot. I've had some guests on that just bash those guys, and I really do like 𝗏𝗏𝗏 and I like Dan Bongino, especially. I may give him shit just a little bit of the time, but just out of frustration. But I do admire those guys, and I will say that I can't imagine what they saw and what they had to suppress. And I'm seeing Dan Bongino right now just get all kinds of hell on his podcast. I just feel bad for the dude, man. Like, the guy went in like with a good effort, and I'm sure he saw a lot of stuff in for the country's best interest. He had to do what he had to do, and I really believe these guys have a backbone. Cash, I've met Cash many times. I've had him on my show many times. I've never met Dan, but you could tell he's a salt of the earth guy, and I would just imagine that they're just like, they seem like they're both just having to take these punches, right? They're taking everything on the chin from the public, and they're just like, they know that I feel like they understand the operation, and they're just having to see it through, but they're just taking these punches, and they're just like, they just can't wait until this stuff comes out. You know what I mean? Like, you know, they're just containing all this, but they're doing it for the betterment of the country, for the Trump operation. That's how I see it. Well,
in war, generals and people that command in a war, they don't proclaim to the whole world what weapons they have, when they're going to strike, what they really know is going on behind the scenes. Their whole job is to win. It's to win. And part of winning is psyops. Part of winning is telling half truths or not truth at all. And so I can't tell you what Dan and Cash know or don't know, or why they've said or not said what they've done. I don't know. I'm just a citizen like everybody else. I know them, but man, I can't talk to them about stuff like that. They're not going to tell me anything, and I'm not going to ask. But I just have to hope, and maybe that word is a futile word, but I do hope that guys like that who love our country like they love it that much are playing this out to a finality that is going to be something we need to see happen. That's the best way I can put it.
What's your least favorite band in the 90s?
Least favorite band in the 90s? Yeah. Least favorite band.
Not country, something more like alternative.
No, I got you. I mean, I was never a fan of the hair bands.
That's more 80s, though.
Yeah, they bled into the 90s, too. I mean, honestly, the 90s rock and roll, like I liked Pearl Jam. I got to know Eddie Vedder pretty well.
Really, dude? That's one of my favorite artists, bro.
Yeah, so
Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam.
Alice in Chains, yeah. So dude. Kid Rock invited me to come up to Chicago to celebrate his 40th birthday party a while back. It was many years ago. He said, come up to Chicago, man. And me and a couple of buddies, it's not going to be a big party. We're just going to go around Chicago and hit blues bars and just hang out and listen to blues all night. I went, sounds fun. Oh. So I flew up to Chicago. Guess who his two buddies were?
Who?
Dennis Rodman was one of them.
Man, cool.
And Eddie Vedder.
Oh my, that's a crazy mix right there.
It's me, Kid Rock, Eddie Vedder, Dennis Rodman, the four of us walking up and down Michigan Avenue at like all hours of the night, hitting blues bars. And so we'd walk into a blues bar. Everybody freaks out because they're like, look who's walking in the bar. We'd take over the stage. Bob, Kid Rock, he would play the drums. I played bass back in the day in Lone Star, so I'd take the bass. Ever. And then Eddie would grab the microphone and he'd wrap that cable around his arm like he does in the big shows, turn his back to the audience, and then he'd look at me and goes, play Jeremy Spoken. I said, okay, Jeremy Spoken class today. And Bob's back there hitting it. And Rodman's sitting on the side of the stage with a tambourine beating as hard as he can. And we'd play about 30 minutes in each bar and then go to the next bar and play again. So for a moment, I got to back up Eddie Vedder on bass.
Oh, gosh, bro. That's one of the best stories I've ever heard. Man, I much rather go to a concert than a sporting event. That's just me. I love music. And by the way, folks, you hear me talking shit about TPUSA being hijacked, the whole thing. I'm not talking shit against Kid Rock. I love Kid Rock. I love Kid Rock. But with that being said, I'm going to read What the Fuck News. You want to stick around? It's about this. It's about who I distaste the most. The biggest 90s band that I don't like, Green Day. I can't stand.
Oh, yeah. No.
Yeah, I can't stand Green Day. Green Day's opening for the Super Bowl was highly anticipated, especially considering the current political climate. After Bad Bunny was announced as a halftime show performer, Americans divided with right-wingers absolutely outraged. Despite the singer being an American citizen, the choice to showcase his work was ridiculed as an un-American because it's largely in Spanish. However, as the backlash swept through the nation, the NFL and Jay-Z's Rock Nation doubled down. So Jay-Z's Rock Nation was in charge of this, huh? Doubled down on their choice and then added another controversial act, Green Day. Green Day, known for their massively political punk music, was booked to open the show. In the past, the band slammed Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and MAGA supporters by making lyric changes to their popular songs American Idiot and Jesus of Suburbia. Their plan for Super Bowl was kept highly confidential. During a pre-party on Saturday, they did one iconic lyric change. However, during their game day performance, they watered down the political messaging, sticking to the original lyrics, which included some swearing. NBC, which is currently grappling with the disappearance of Savannah Guthrie's mother, cut the audio when lead singer Billy Joe Armstrong sang "Mind Fuck America." Fans weren't thrilled. NBC just censored Green Day, and on X, formerly known as Twitter, wrote another added, they censored Green Day, the only played part of each song. So they censored them, and I'd say good for them. They censored something. They were going to outrage Americans. I can't stand Green Day. I don't know. See, so to me, there you go. Jay-Z in charge of Rock Nation. Now we know who's in charge of putting these bands together with the NFL CEOs. And that's it. That's right there. And they're out there putting a message to further the division, further the polarization, and putting someone like this guy, Armstrong, and Bad Bunny up. What's your thoughts on that? You being a musical artist, you being who you are, what's your thoughts on this, man? Like, I'm sure you just cringe.
Yeah, cringe.
That you're trying to get out there at least.
No, it is total cringe. But it's almost like they're taking a stick and they just keep popping the bear in the nose with it. Pop, 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 pop. And the bears just look side-eyeing you like, you need to stop popping me in the nose. I don't want to have to get up. Pop, pop, pop. And they won't stop. And I really think that's what they want. They want the bear, which is the rest of America, to stand up on its back legs and start tearing people apart. That's what they want to happen.
They want chaos.
They want engagement from the other side. And to this point, we have not engaged. That's not really how we do it. I mean, the way my mind works is I'm not going down to your stupid protest and walking around out there yelling at anybody about anything, because guess what? My wife and kids are back at the house, and my job is to protect them, not to be out here screaming at you bunch of idiots that are out here doing this. So that's most people's attitude in this country.
And you have a job.
And I have a job. Sane, rational people go, why would I put myself in that situation that's not going to accomplish anything other than maybe getting me hurt or killed? And by the way, who's looking out for my wife and kids while I'm out in the street screaming at people? But if they ever come to our yards, if they ever come across our fence lines into our houses and our backyards, that's when the ballgame is going to change. I did find it very interesting that Tom Homan decided to pull 700 agents out of Minneapolis. Did you see that?
Yeah, I'm kind of confused on that as well.
I don't think I'm confused on it. I think what that is okay, you don't want us here. I'm going to pull out 700 plus and just let your town go into absolute anarchy.
Yes.
And then when we reemerge and come back, it won't be ICE that you're dealing with at that point. It's going to be something a lot tougher than ICE.
Military. Yeah.
So I think they're just pulling them out. Let the thing catch on fire.
Yeah. So I've talked on that. I've actually said that. Yes, it's, Trump is waiting. He's pulling back for this to get worse and worse and worse and worse. So when he finally plays that card, like the Insurrection Act or whatever, boom, military comes in, and people are sick and tired of this, and they're welcoming in the military with open arms, and they take these people out. John, do you want to take some super chats real quick? Questions
Sure.
from the audience? All right, let's go. Hopefully my eyes can see this. My eyes Pretty bad, yo. All right, 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗀𝗃, thank you so much. Super sticker, thank you so much. 𝗂𝘂𝗃𝗁𝗃, Nino, thanks. We can still talk truth blessings. Okay, you got it. Yes, we can. Cindy Shipley, thank you, Nino. Thank you for being a real man and speaking out against the horrific crimes against children. Thank you for your transparent and truthful history. We'll remember you as a hero. I don't care as long as they just remember Sancho. All right, next one. Connie, what did that say? McGee? Okay, my husband and I love watching you, praying for you and your family. You're awesome. You're awesome too. Thank you, Connie. Mark Veen. Nino, let's go. It's go time, and the left will be the demise of the DS. I did watch the halftime show because I wanted to see the mockery, the brainwashing, the propaganda. It was through the roof, but they just destroy themselves with this gig. They destroy themselves every year, and that's why I say they're going all in, right, John? They're going all in now. They don't care. They have to go all in.
They're going all in. Yeah, you're seeing it on live television.
It's crazy. I can't believe we're living in these times. Next one. Let's get to the next one. Nino. Oh, continued. To top it off, Roger Goodell had to have the Super Bowl aired worldwide to help with the viewership, right? Trying to hide the decline in viewership and boost the numbers. It's not going to matter nor help their cause for you, your parents, and family. Do you think that's why? Let's go. Do you think that's why he did the worldwide viewership? Is it to boost the numbers? Because it was going to be so bad? Or
there's a lot of Americans, when they started kneeling for the anthem and when they started doing two different national anthems, when all that stuff broke out, in the Biden era, a lot of people just turned it off, period. They stopped watching and they never came back. Maybe. Wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, that would be a great tactic to use. Yeah. What is it? Titanium. Principle of readiness. When the ears of the student are ready to hear, then cometh the lips to fill them with wisdom. What does that say? 𝗂𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃? What does that say, John?
I don't know. 𝗂𝗃𝗃𝗃? I've never seen that word.
Hey, yo, a couple of coconuts here. 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃, thank you, super sticker. Let's see what. Thank you, Kelly. Merry Eyes of an Angel. John, great lyric. Holy Spirit gave me. The grounds of Arlington are paid in souls. They fought for our freedom and are now with Jesus on the streets of gold. Is that your lyric or?
No, that's their lyric. That's good though. That's great. Yeah. Good job, Mary.
Yeah, she's on the General's tent and she's on ringside with Nino quite a bit. Thank you, Mary. 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃, thank you. Once again, Kelly, thank you. All right, Mark Veen. Nino, think about this. M. Hollins, he was showing that he was under control and cuffed to the outcome of the game. Oh, wow. Predetermined, mid-planned outcome, and the Patriots lost. Also maybe trying to say our side loses. That's a real deep conspiracy, man. I don't know. I have friends that are in football, NFL, and they play their hearts out, from my understanding, just like fighters do. You can't control the corrupt judges or referees, but I mean, there's a lot there. Maybe that was symbolic. What do you think, John? Do you think he has a point there?
There's been a lot of corruption in sports recently coming out, on betting on games, and it'd be hard to keep that quiet though, because if they told the whole team we have to lose today because of X, Y, Z, I don't think you could keep that quiet.
No, I mean, yeah, I don't buy into that. I don't go that deep into it, but I think there was symbolism from being cuffed and barefoot. I think there was there, but I don't know further than that. Jana Wendell, I think that's how you say it. 750. Thank you so much. That's it. John, thank you so much for joining me, man. I'll keep in touch with you. I'd love to bring you on again another time. You're awesome, bro. Thank you. It means a lot to me that you came on.
You too. Always good to see you, brother. Take care.
God bless. God bless. All right, folks. And with that being said, I'm out of here. And the new heavyweight champion of podcasting and the black sheep of broadcasting, baby. Peace.